When Alexander Pickard formally retired in 2005 from the University of Missouri School of Music, he left as one of the school's most beloved directors. During his tenure as the director of Marching Mizzou and then the director of bands, he touched the lives of thousands of students. However, he didn't start out to become a music educator or a band director. In fact, his path to those careers was a combination of talent, luck, and being at the right place at the right time.
Whoa, I'm a traveling man. Whoa, I'm a traveling man.
The year was 1961.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
John F. Kennedy was the President of the United States. A first-class stamp cost 4 cents. There were nearly 13,000 students enrolled at Mizzou.
Where there's life, there's bud.
And a 6-pack of Bud was $1.30. This was also the year Dr. Pickard came to Columbia as a trumpet teacher. However, this job was not in his original plans for this Juilliard graduate.
In the 8th grade, I went in and took an audition, and I was accepted. So 4 years I was commuting on a Saturday. I'd go into New York every Saturday. I'd go in and take a theory lesson at Juilliard. And I ended up going there for my undergraduate degree, 4 years. I wanted to be in a symphony orchestra.
But it occurred to Dr. Pickard that if he wanted to eat, he needed to get an education degree because he couldn't just wait around for the phone to ring offering him a gig elsewhere. So he got a master's degree in music education from Iowa. He joined the National Guard. It was during a trip for Guard training to Fort Leonard Wood that he first visited Missouri.
So it all came down to coming to Columbia, and the day he got the job, I interviewed for the voice job at the University of Missouri. And he didn't know that I had that, and Mother and I came up to see him, and we said, well, we're leaving tomorrow morning to go to Columbia, Missouri, and Anne Marie's auditioning for the voice job there. And he said, I have a letter from Dean Whitmer too. And so we took him with us, and we pretended like we didn't know each other, because whoever got the job, or if we could get both of us to get the job, we could get married, maybe buy furniture.
Even though he was hired to teach and play trumpet, the head of the department, Dr. Charles Emmons, required all of his teachers to participate with the marching band. Realizing he could bring home a bigger paycheck if he could direct the band, he asked Dr. Emmons, whom he calls the band father, for the job.
He said, you don't have the background, you've never taught high school, the only band experience you have is here.
But a year later, Dr. Emmons asked if he'd like to take over Marching Mizzou. It was a choice between marching in the brutal elements of Midwestern weather or accepting a position with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. So naturally, he chose marching in the mud. However, for most of the 1960s, he was still driving to St. Louis to play with the orchestra. It wasn't until the 1970s that he finally came into his stride with Marching Mizzou, and that's when he realized this gig in Columbia wasn't going to be a temporary stop. During this time, he and his wife, Anna Marie, were raising their 2 kids, Stuart and Laura. Everyone was quickly incorporated into the band.
When we were a young family, we didn't travel except with the band. All the vacations we took were with the band when we went to ball games. I mean, Ann and I never traveled by ourselves till we were in our late 50s.
Dr. Pickard's years with Marching Mizzou were marked with many highlights. One of those came in 1969. Under Coach Dan Devine, the football Tigers went 9-2, and Missouri went to the Orange Bowl.
Which was probably one of the best shows we ever put on. It was a 10-minute show we boiled down to 7 minutes. The kids were just exhausted. They fell down when they came off the field. But it was a great show. It was quick. It was fast. We did the Flip Tigers in 49 seconds. We timed that. The Kappa Kappa Psi in California voted our show the best of the shows that they saw.
He refers to his time with Marching Mizzou during the 70s, his golden years, and picks out highlights such as the 1972 Fiesta Bowl and the 1973 Sun Bowl.
When they weren't practicing for performance, band members toured London and other parts of Britain.
And in 1975, Dr. Pickard took the band to London.
There was a man by the name of George McKay who ran a tour thing in here, and he shows up at mine. He says, "How would you like to play for the, in Wembley Stadium and do the soccer?" And I said, "Hey, sounds good to me. Why not? What do I have to do?"
The band performed a 20-minute show for 3 different games, the World Cup match of Germany versus England in Wembley Stadium before 100,000 fans, a professional soccer game, and a rugby match.
I've got all kinds of write-ups from the professional soccer match we played because the opposing team thought the Americans chased them. Yep.
In 1982, Dr. Pickard left the band and took an administrative position. He went back into music education and back to playing his trumpet. Not one to take a break, he still plays with the brass faculty and teaches young students. In his early years, Alex Pickard never imagined he would become the director of a Division I marching band.
When I toured Europe, I played at all, Royal Festival Hall and all the great halls of Europe. I had been raised in New York, and Carnegie Hall was, where I did this, and Columbia University, and yet to this day, I think, Thoreau Field is where we feel most comfortable. We did more than was humanly possible. I mean, I always used to tell there are probably bands that march better than we did or play better than we did, but when it comes to putting on a show, I thought our band was #1.
Pickard credits his success to his directors and his students. He says, "I had the best people, great assistants, and the kids were great." As for his legacy, Dr. Pickard keeps it simple.
I hope I was a role model for the kids, taught them how to act and what to do and what's right and what's wrong.
In between the lessons, there was fun enjoyed by both the students and the teacher.
And I don't know any other band directors that had as much enjoyment.